creates our immigration class, U.S. Immigration from Barclay College of Law. We do a snapshot sometimes and we put on our student outreach page as a sample, but this is how we have our classes each week. Now, immigration issue has become a hot button in the U.S., but we have had policy since 1952, and the U.S. Act has been changed, improved every time. But what do you think is the most political thing present now in the U.S. that raises a lot of immigration questions, on the minds of people in the U.S. and especially among Americans when it comes to the border security and other things?
Well, there's several issues when dealing with immigration that you have to consider. There's the political issue, there's the economic issue, and then there's the socio-economic issue. Most people don't consider the political issue. If you're not a politician, obviously, really that doesn't enter into your thinking until election year. Then then the politicians are looking for the voters, and we'll come back to that in a minute. The economic issue is what most people are affected by, day to day along the border states, because those states, if they have an influx of immigrants, then that can overburden and overwhelm the economic system, the socio-economic system of those border states, such as Arizona, California, Texas, to where, the public health system is one, the public education system is one. And those people who basically saturate a system that's not designed from a tax-based standpoint, from a student-to-teacher ratio standpoint, from a doctor-patient-nurse standpoint for caregivers. So it basically overwhelms, the public health, the public education, the socioeconomic system. And also from the political standpoint, so it's a very sensitive issue. You have two arguments that go along with this. You have the moral issue and you have the legal issue. Obviously, from an applicant standpoint, you don't want to wait a very long time, as the normal process and the normal law says. You apply from whatever country you're in, you go to the consular's office there, they do the initial screening, the interview, so forth and so on, and then you wait your turn. Most immigration people, or most immigrants that come to the country, refugees, don't want to wait that process. They'd rather just cross the border and say, we're here, let's go ahead and go to work. That creates issues, as we talked about. From a political standpoint, those individuals have relatives that are already in the United States, and those relatives obviously are here legally and are registered voters. So then that makes an influence on the political aspect of immigration, as far as, you've got this section of voters, or this block of voters, who feel very strongly about, immigration reform and letting this certain class or this certain number of people in because it directly affects them and their family and so forth.
Right. So generally, from what I'm hearing you say, the normal process of immigration is fine. People apply, go to the consular office, apply for visa, wait for the term to come in. We have the allocation of second people and now non-immigrant visa to come in the country. We have family-based immigration that allows to come in the country. So all of that process, generally, there isn't much political dispute on those. But when you come with the influx of people going through, for example, Texas or New Mexico or California, then we have, even though it's a federal law, federal legislation that are responsible for immigration policy, now the states have been put in a predicament. That border, you got 10,000, 100,000 of people crossing the border, and it seems to overwhelm the system as a whole, the state, because these people keep coming in. So if the state has to allow over 100,000 coming in a day, sometimes a month, we see how that will overwhelm the medical system, educational system, and the state particularly not having extra financial aid from the federal government to handle the burden of these things. So now you can see why immigration issue generally has become a serious political issue. Now, this issue has been there for all presidents. Whether it's Democrat Republican, they have different method, different way of handling it. But recently we had the one that Trump put in place, and Biden wanted to stop. But the government, the federal Supreme Court said allow the Trump policy to stay in place for now. So there's always been a bigger issue. But also when you look at immigration, though, can we say immigration policy generally? It seems that having good immigration policy in place generally is a good thing, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And why do you say so?
Because you have to have some method of first securing your borders. Mm-hmm. You just can't be like a dictatorial country where you take the military and you blockade your borders and allow no one in. You can't do that. In our country is, the economic system. You have to have trade and so forth and so on, and your labor force. So you have to have open borders as opposed to porous borders. An open border are borders that allow anyone to come in under structured rules and guidelines. Porous borders, on the other hand, are just a country that it has no rules and regulations, and people just come and go as they please. So obviously having a standardized method of entry that applies to all 50 states, which is a federal, not a state. So immigration is obviously constituted by the Constitution, is a federal function, not a function of the states.
Right.
So.
Yeah, so if one of those things are coordinated, or the states, actually, it would be better if the states can work together to help the federal law come together to help out of those states, and out of they decide to move people away from the border as they come in one state instead of leaving them in that one state, spread them over the country. Well, some states may have problem with agricultural farmers. They may need workers to work in a meat farm. They may need accountants. They may, so appropriately distribute these immigrants, that we have, whether they are political, but also is a vetting process, not just admitting everybody because those from South America or that just came across the border. They said we got crisis, drug crisis, we're being invaded by the cartel or other issues that are affecting us. So we have to leave. We have to come to America, and America can, the solution for our problems. So there got to be a way to bring in, allow these migrants and refugees or whatever we call them to come in the country. But yeah, as a whole, there's a system that is in place to allow people to properly legally come in the country and apply for adjustment of immigration status, whether it's their wife getting married or other things. And so immigration thing is a very interesting topic. It's a hot topic now in the States. And our course here, we're going to cover a whole lot, but that is what we discussed this week. We will move on to the next phase, and then maybe next time we'll do a flash up again next week and post something for our other students to understand. Again, this is Grace Kempson, and Dr. Williams. Grace, you want to say final things? What do you think generally?
That the law school is great. The one-on-one interaction is very personalized, and it's excellent instruction. It gives you the ability to have one-on-one discussion and basically learn the material better than the traditional Socratic method.
Right. Okay, thanks. That's what our students, we try to, put. It's a personal thing for us to make sure our students benefit well when they come into the program. Okay, but thank you. So next week we will have a flash up for everyone to see. Thanks, Grace.
Thank you.